Hey y'all, welcome back to the very first episode of season 5 of Gather the Gals. I am so excited to finally be back and just sitting out all of the episodes your way because I have missed y'all so much. And man, I just feel like oh, what a refresh of the soul it is when you really feel the Lord telling you to rest and you just take advantage of it. And man, like it is, let me think, it is June 18th right now. And so I don't know when this is going to come out, probably in July is when I'm planning on releasing season 5, sometime in July. I did a poll on my Instagram and a lot of y'all said y'all were just ready to have this podcast back. And that just makes my heart so happy. I'm really just so thankful for all of y'all because man, when I remember sitting in my kitchen and saying, "Hey, like the Lord has put something on my heart and he's put this on my heart for years now. And I don't really know what to do, but I am really trying to obey him in this because it's obviously something, right? Because he has really been putting some sort of women's ministry on my heart for so many years. And I think after having my daughter and just the way the world is and so many other factors, I really was like, okay, like this has got to be something that I need to just say okay and let the Lord lead. It's so funny. I just remember the Gather the Gals just popping in my head out of nowhere. But the Gather the Girls just didn't sound right to me. But gals, I'm like, oh my gosh, it sounds so like old timey, old school. And if you know, or if you've been around for a while, you know my grandma, we all called her mom. Everybody called her mom in our small little one stoplight town. She was known as Mom. She introduced herself as Mom, and everybody got a big old red lipstick planted on their cheek at church every Sunday morning. And you knew you had already that Mom had already welcomed you, and you had already seen Mom because you had that sweet red lipstick planted on your cheek. And so she would always go and gather with her all of her girls at the coffee shop. Every morning she would say, I'm going to have coffee with the girls and things like that. And I'm like, gosh, like what a fun thing. What a great community thing to have, right? Like every morning, I remember she would go and she would say, "I'm going to drink with the girls," and it was just she's going to have coffee with her friends every morning at the same little coffee shop. And my grandpa, he would go to another coffee shop or another little like cafe place, and they would either do coffee in the morning or they would go back and they would do like hamburgers in the afternoon. And it was just the girls hung and the guys hung out. And I'm like, wow, we have like lost that, like we just don't have that anymore. And I'm like, I have been craving it for so long. Um, and the more that I kind of opened up to y'all and we started this podcast and things like that, it was amazing how many people were just reaching out saying like, I crave this. Like, I need this too. And it's something that's so simple, yet it's so far gone. And it's just not normal. You don't see, the community aspect anymore. And so here at, Gather, that is what we are founded on is bringing back that soul refreshing community that Jesus has intended for us to have. Like we were never meant to live in a house alone with huge fences built around and all these walls built up around our own heart. We were always meant to live in community with other, getting resources from other, getting wisdom from our elders and, taking care of each other. And I mean, it's crazy how like you hear of old stories and it's like, man, it's just changed, but it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the thing that I have such a passion about is like no, like it doesn't have to be that way. And I think once I had my daughter, it kicked a fire in me that it was like, I don't want this for her. I want something so better, so much more refreshing, so much more grand that she can go to a friend knowing like, I don't just have one friend. I have a community of friends that I trust, that I know love Jesus and that are walking alongside me through every stage in life. Not just the good birthdays and the weddings, but the grief and the loss and the pain. I want that for her. And I think so often we have these friendships that we have built and we are, texting here and there, or we may be like seeing each other a couple times a year, or like maybe fitting into, our busy schedules. But the truth is, y'all, is like beautiful friendships and relationships take time to blossom. It's so normal for you to have like a friend and it's like, yeah, they're my friend and they're my friend and they're my friend, and you don't see each other. Y'all, I do this all the time. And I'm like, man, like, can you imagine if we dug deep and we got to know this person and we were like so comfortable with each other, how much joy we would have, how much fun we would have, how much things we would have to look forward to. Not only just the birthday parties and the mom's nights or the barbecuing on the 4th of July, but like to see them every Sunday morning, or, throughout the week when you're taking your kids to school, or, hey, like, let's go to coffee or whatever at, such and such time, or like, hey, when you get off work, like, let's go do this. And, bring the kids. I don't care. Your kids are my kid, thing. That type of friendship where your husbands enjoy each other. And I know that's not the, a lot of the time that's not the reality, and that's okay. You don't have to get along with everybody, right? Like, there's going to be some families where the husbands don't mesh, or the wives don't mesh, or the kids don't mesh, or whatever. That is fine, y'all. But what I'm trying to say is like, all good things take time to grow and to blossom, and it just making that commitment of like, hey, like, I need friends who love Jesus and who are going to love my family through the good and the bad and the hard and the highs and the lows and the valleys and all of it. And I want you to know my messy, and I want to know your messy, and I want you to know I'm staying. And that's the thing, that it's like, I am going to commit to making our friendship a priority, right? Because we all have busy lives, y'all, especially in today's world. If whether you're a mom or you're not, you're working, sometimes 2 jobs, 3 jobs, sometimes side hustles, whatever it is. You're taking the kids to all the places, birthday parties. Christmas is like 6 months away. I know that's on your mind because, y'all, I literally was at Hobby Lobby this morning because my husband showed me a reel on Instagram and they had all their Grinch stuff out. And y'all know I'm a huge fanatic of Christmas, like 24/7. So I sure did. Right this morning at 9 a.m. I was there. Me and my 3 children, we were there, and they had a few Christmas things out. So yeah, we're gonna go back probably next week to make sure it's all out because we're so excited. But that's just what I want, y'all. I want this to be a place that you can come and you can feel not only like loved and encouraged, but supported, and that you can just say like, that relates to me. I don't want this to be a place where it's like you listen and it's like not relatable. And that's one thing that when people reach out to me and they tell me that comment of like, this is exactly what I needed. It's so relatable. It's so real. And I'm like, bingo, that is what I want. That is the best comment I feel like I can receive on this, because so many people have told me this, and I have felt this. Y'all have heard in the recent podcast that like you'll be listening to these other big name podcasts with like millions and millions of followers on their podcast, on their social media, on all the things. And the stuff that they're saying, it may not relate to the everyday mom who is working 2 jobs to make ends meet, right? Or the mom that may be a single mom, or the one whose husband works 24/7 and the mom feels like a single mom. It may not be relatable, and that's okay, y'all. Like, that's the thing is, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, and this may be a 2-part episode because we're already like 10 minutes in. But I just want y'all to know that it's okay to listen to all these like big name podcasts and feel that way because I feel that way, y'all. And I wanted something to be different about this. I wanted to bring y'all on to tell y'all story, to get down to that like real, that raw, that emotional, that vulnerable, that open, like I want to share my story with you, my grief, my trauma, my traumatic season, my excited, joyful, over the moon. This is so cool. God pulled me out of this valley, and this is the light that I see now. And I want to bring that to this platform because we are all struggling, y'all, in so many different ways, some more than others. And that's another thing. It's like there's always going to be somebody who is struggling more than you and less than you. And so don't ever compare your season, your situation, because God is working and moving in all of our lives all the time, in every single season and situation, even in the waiting. And I know that's one of the hardest things to hear is because the waiting seasons, they feel so long and so lonely and so downright miserable half the time, right? Like if we're being honest, you feel like you're praying 24/7 over and over and over, and you feel like you're in this waiting season and you're like, God, when are you going to pull me out of this season? And I want you to be, and we'll talk more on this. I want you to flip that and just be like, okay, God, I'm in this season. And I want you to just pray that not only like whatever you're praying for, you can continue that, but I want you to pray that the Lord will speak to you in this waiting season. And y'all, typically He is, it's just we're not listening. And so I want you to pray, God, open my eyes and my ears and speak to me in this waiting season. I want to hear from you and I want you to be intentional. And we're going to talk more on prayer and quiet time and all of the things. But this is honestly just like a big, like overcap, recap type thing episode. But I do want to kind of get into just a little bit of a more meaty episode, I guess you could say. So I'm going to start off with just like a few questions and then we'll kind of dive into some things. I'm watching the monitor. I just put my daughter down. Y'all, I worked yesterday. Y'all know I'm a nurse. And my daughter slept for like 3 hours from my mom. And then it's like, she literally just put her in her crib and then she's like out. And she texts me and she's like, she's been asleep for 2 hours. And I'm like, that's amazing. Let her sleep, right? She's kind of in that phase of like, do we take one nap or do we take, one long nap or two like shorter naps? She just turned a year. So y'all, for me, I'm like, I lay her down and she stands up and screams. And I'm like, sister. So, anyways, I just saw her moving and I'm like, I just put you down, girl. So I think she went back to sleep. And she's doing that cute little, like, you know how the babies will sleep on their tummy and have their little booty in the air? I'm like, I love it. It just, oh, I love the little newborn booty scrunch and all the things. Okay, but we are getting so off topic. So, okay, a few questions that we're going to talk about, and y'all can journal these down, whatever you want. So y'all know we're huge on journaling here. If you're new, I like to do a lot of journal questions, and so it just gets you kind of like, talking, thinking. It just really brings your heart open and allows you to just connect with Jesus or your girlfriends or whoever you're doing this with, right? So one of the questions is, do you have the confidence to share that what you have to offer is valuable? So, do you have that confidence of like, okay, this is my story and it's valuable? Or do you feel like, no, I mean, yeah, I've got a story, but I don't think it's really like valuable, right? Do you believe you have a voice in this big world? Because it's a big old world, y'all. And everybody's got an opinion and everybody's got a platform and all the things, right? Do you struggle with comparison? Maybe feeling like the story God has written for you, it can't really happen because maybe someone else is already doing it, or maybe they're just doing it really well. And you're like, okay, she's already doing that. Why do I feel like I should get involved in that or do that thing? Or, you know what I'm talking about. Like you feel, okay, God is speaking to me on this, kind of like this podcast, y'all. I was like, I am not a podcaster, and there is enough podcasts out there, right? And I had felt that way for a while, and I'm like, okay. And honestly, y'all, over the course of the year and a half that we've been doing this, my views have changed because I truly feel that the Lord has given us all a unique story that leads to our unique voice. Nobody has the same story as you. And I find that so cool because growing up, I always felt like I had to have this amazing testimony, right? Like so many people were like shouting all these amazing testimonies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need that, right? Like, I need that story. And it's like, but no, why? Because God gave you a specific story and a specific testimony for a specific reason, right? And so it's like, why? Why do we think this way? And it's like, God created you and your story and your voice matters. And it's so needed. Like, something that you have gone through, there is a sister out there who needs to hear that, y'all. And I think that's where we kind of like, lose focus is because we may feel like maybe ashamed, or maybe it's like a deep dark season that you don't really want to bring back to surface. That's okay, y'all, but I guarantee you when you share that and it frees you of that bondage that you may be kind of like hidden and stuffed way down, and you're just like enslaved to that. When you release that and you share it with somebody and that other person is healed, not only are they healed, but you are healed. Your heart is healed. And it's a freeing moment because you're able to help somebody and be relatable. And that is what so many people are looking for, y'all, is just to be relatable. They don't want to hear, oh, I've been through it. I get it. I've been in your shoes. I totally understand. You don't understand. Even if you've walked through a similar situation, you don't understand what that person has been through, and their thoughts, their emotions, their everything about it. Again, it may be a similar situation, but when you approach it as a listening ear versus a let me tell you this, you come across in such a different, beautiful way, and it's a way that you can connect. And so when you come with full ears open, eyes on you, hey, I want to share my heart with you, and then they share theirs back with you, it's you connect in such a beautiful way that it's you're not coming with like closed hands. This is my story, and this is what you should do, and it's not necessarily like an advice, which advice is great, right? But it's like we need that listening ear more so than often, if that makes sense. And so I want to ask you a couple more things. So, what makes you feel alive? So, what is that one thing or that couple of things that you just come alive when you're doing it? And you were like, this is the greatest thing ever. This is so cool. Like, what brings you that joy like no other? Like, I guarantee you, you're probably thinking about it right now. And so, literally, it could be anything, y'all. Like, it literally anything. What is coming to your mind? I want you to write it down because so often, y'all, we feel like we're burnout. We go through life doing the motions, doing the jobs, doing the chores, being the mom, being the wife, being the whatever. And it's like you're tired, right? Like you're exhausted. You work 8 to 5, that may be turning into like, 10, 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts if you're a nurse or like whatever, right? And it's just tiring. It's overwhelming. It's exhausting. You look forward to the next vacation, the next weekend, or whatever it may be, right? This is not the way to live, y'all. And I think, we obviously know that, but it's like, okay, but why? Why are we feeling burnout?